What if I told you that some of the oldest structures on Earth aren't the pyramids of Egypt and not even Stonehenge, but graves? Graves built by people who had no writing, no wheels, no metal, and yet they're still standing, hidden in hills, tucked away in forests, or lying exposed on open plains scattered across Europe. Built around 4000 BCE, these are the first monuments humanity ever left behind, and they were dedicated to the dead. These monuments are called megalithic tombs, which literally means large stone graves. They are imposing structures, often made of massive boulders, carefully arranged to form burial chambers. Some are covered with earth, making them look like hills. Others lie open as if they're trying to tell us something. The people who built them didn't do so casually. These tombs had meaning. They were places of mourning, honor, perhaps even worship. And above all, they were made to last. What makes them extraordinary is not just their age, but what they represent. The first physical traces of how people thought about life and death. These aren't random piles of stone. They were built with intent, with vision, with purpose, marking the beginning of a new era when humanity started building to remember, to revere, and perhaps to connect with something greater than itself. These burial monuments aren't rare anomalies. They appeared across dozens of locations at roughly the same time, spread throughout Europe. In the north, where the Netherlands is today, you'll find the Hunebeds, long rows of enormous glacial boulders stacked into burial chambers. In France, especially in Brittany, you'll see mysterious dolmens and endless fields of menhirs, upright stones standing like sentinels in the landscape. In Spain, in Scandinavia, in Germany, they show up everywhere, as if people, independently, decided it was time to give death a permanent place in stone. But these weren't just basic burial sites. Many of these monuments are aligned with specific astronomical events: sunrise, winter solstice, full moon. They are connected to the land, to the sky, and possibly to ancient rituals whose meanings we've long forgotten. And that brings us to one of the most enigmatic sites of all. In the green heart of Ireland, surrounded by hills and mist, lies a monument that has held a mystery for thousands of years. Built around 3200 BCE, older than the Egyptian pyramids, older than Stonehenge, and yet still relatively unknown to the general public. But those who've seen it never forget it. Its name is Newgrange, and it is no ordinary tomb. Newgrange lies hidden in the Irish countryside, in the valley of the River Boyne. From a distance it looks like a large, grass-covered mound, quiet, innocent. But up close it reveals something far more impressive. A prehistoric structure nearly 80 meters across with a bright white quartz wall at the front, carefully reconstructed based on what archaeologists believe was the original design. And at its center, a narrow entrance that leads to something almost no one expects. Behind that entrance begins a narrow stone passage, 15 meters long. At the end is a central burial chamber with 3 side niches, all built from massive stones, some engraved with spiral carvings that are still visible after 5,000 years. No mortar, no metal, just precise human craftsmanship. And that precision goes beyond the structure itself, because once a year, on the morning of the winter solstice, something extraordinary happens. As the sun rises, its light passes through a specially designed opening above the entrance. The rays travel directly down the narrow passage and illuminate the heart of the chamber. That is no accident. That is architecture with a purpose. Whoever built Newgrange understood not just stone, but time, the movement of the sun, the return of light on the darkest day of the year. The symbolism is unmistakable, life returning, even in the face of death. And the most astonishing part? Newgrange was constructed about 500 years before the Egyptian pyramids, and over 1,000 years before Stonehenge. Yet its design is more sophisticated than many later monuments. How this knowledge existed, where it came from, and why this monument is so precisely aligned with the sun, that remains a mystery. There are no written records, no clear answers, only the monument itself, silently enduring across the ages. What we do know is this: Newgrange was not just a tomb, it was a site of ritual, a place of cosmic meaning. Perhaps its builders believed that the sun came to greet the dead on that one sacred morning, or that its light helped their souls journey onward, and thousands of years later we look at it. Why would a society with no writing, no metal, and a way of life centered around farming and herding invest so much time and effort in building enormous burial monuments? We can only study what they left behind. The architecture, the placement, the symbolism patterns begin to emerge. This wasn't just about burial, it was about meaning, about connection, about memory. To many archaeologists, it's clear that these tombs were part of ancestor worship. The dead were not seen as gone, but as present, as spirits, as protectors, as forces influencing the world of the living. They were given a place not hidden away, but right in the center of the community. People would visit these sites, perhaps bring offerings, perform rituals. The dead remained part of life. At the same time, these monuments also express power and status. Not everyone was buried in a place like Newgrange. These tombs were often reserved for the elite leaders, shamans, chiefs. Building such a monument sent a message. This is a society with knowledge, with hierarchy, with memory. A society that honored its dead and its leaders. But there's something more. Many of these monuments are aligned with the heavens, with sunrises and sunsets, the longest and shortest days of the year. The sun disappeared in winter and returned. Perhaps they hoped the same could be true for the soul. So why did they build them? And because, in their own way, maybe they wanted to leave behind a message that would survive time itself. So, thousands of years ago, people built monuments to the dead by hand, with stone, guided by the sun, not to be remembered as individuals, but because they believed some things were worth preserving. And maybe that's the real significance of these monuments. They show us that even in a world without technology, without writing, people were already searching for meaning, for connection, for something beyond themselves. We may not build with stone anymore, but the question remains. Did you like the video? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, you might find this next video just as fascinating. See you in the next one.